Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
All right, it looks like 7 o'clock. I will call the meeting of the Village of Saxtons River Board of Trustees to order. This is no longer a hybrid meeting. This is a remote electronic only meeting. If anybody is watching and has difficulty, you can call or text 802-376-4639 or 802-591-3418 for help getting in on the action. Is there any public comment that people want to relay? All right. Hearing none, we're on to the budget worksheets, the high-profile item of the evening, Carl.
Okay. Maybe I should share the screen.
So I think I need to give you the authority to do that. So I will make you the co-host. And I think that gives you the ability to share. See if that's something you can do now. I also have them standing by, but let's give you the control. Are you able to share?
Gee, I'm not sure.
On the bottom, share screen.
Yeah. Okay, so I see you up there.
So you can't share?
Well, I'm not sure. I've never tried to do it.
So just click the button, share screen, and it should open a window that shows everything you have open on your computer.
Okay. So
don't click the little up arrow. Just click on my screen, it's a glowing green icon.
Yeah, I see it. No. Okay. So let's take a look at the.
So you need to push the button and then select the file you want to share.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. So now let me. Oh goodness, I can. Okay, so there are two worksheets. One is the general budget and the other is the wastewater treatment plant. And you should all have gotten copies of these.
Yep, I did.
Okay. I don't have a lot of.
Who would we have gotten copies from?
Pardon?
Carl.
I should have emailed them to you. I should have emailed you these sheets. Did you not get them?
I don't think I did.
Okay, well then we'll.
I think it came to everybody. Let me go back and look. Actually, if I put in budget worksheets, I think it comes right up.
It would have been a separate email than the one I sent to you, Amy.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is the worksheet that we go through every year, and I don't have. There are a lot of blank spaces on this because I can't find where Sarah shared the worksheet with me.
I don't think she did.
Well, she said she did, but I can't find it. She said she shared me a Google sheet that she filled in the data and shared a Google sheet with me, but I can't find the Google sheet, and I didn't see the email until about 45 minutes ago.
Oh.
So I'm not sure. But if we take a look at the sheet, we have the amount for the last 2 years budgeted, what we budgeted, what we actually spent. It was the information that I'm missing. We need to figure out what to budget for the coming year. Generally, we don't we don't change the budgeted figures much. So, for example, the item for administration, that covers the stipends for the clerk, the treasurer, and the tax collectors.
That's all it is?
And stationary, postage, and miscellaneous office expenses like that. And we don't generally need to budget more than we have. The actual for 2020 to 2021 showed a $5,000, but that included a $3,000 temporary loan from the capital reserve to cover expenses. I'm not sure what those expenses were. That's the only notation that I have. But I would suggest that we not change the amount that we budget for that.
So we will have actuals, I assume, on the next meeting.
We will on the next meeting, yeah. And if you would like to defer the discussion of the line items until we have the actuals, I'm happy to do that. I'm sure that between now and tomorrow, I'll figure out from Sarah, or maybe by Thursday when she gets back to town, exactly where those sheets are.
Well, now that you have exposed the problem, my guess is they are shared to the Google account associated with SaxRivGov. There are quite a number of documents in there. Oh, they're not there? Okay.
I didn't see them there. No.
Okay. I know she has access to that account. Well, I think she has access to that account also, although that's curious because I don't think there's a new password associated with it, and I don't think I've given it to her. So,
well,
okay.
As I recall, she actually can just identify me or that account as an account to share with from the treasurer's account. But I haven't gotten any notification that there's something there, and I went into the accounts and didn't find the sheets.
Okay.
So they may be someplace else.
I think we're going to find that the actuals in some cases are surprisingly high. So, for example, for this year, we expended $5,000 for a fire department feasibility study. We matched funds for the municipal planning grant, and I guess that's it. But I just I've been assigning those things to Village, and when I look at this list of items, it looks to me that administration is the only place that they would probably come from, but maybe I'm wrong about that. At any rate, I'd love to hear more from Sarah to get us all up to speed about what these labels mean and how we can do them. So I, for example, did not understand that administration included the stipends. That never even crossed my mind.
Okay. So things like the municipal planning grant would not come out of any of these categories. Other than the, perhaps the capital reserve. And we maybe want, if we think we are going to be applying for and matching more grants, we might want to add a line item for grant matches, grant funds.
I think that's a good idea.
Well, I'm anticipating with ARPA that may be happening in the next 2 years. We don't know that for sure, but.
Well, are we going to be, ARPA is money we're going to be getting, not money we're going to be spending to get. Is that correct?
We have the money already.
Okay.
But, so perhaps I've answered my own question. I just see a lot of infrastructure projects. Well, it's probably too early. This week there is an ARPA meeting when the small committee gets a look at all the projects that have been submitted. So by 2 weeks from tonight, I'll have a better idea of how much involvement Saxtons River is going to have. $148,000 sounds like a lot for 2 years, but I have no wealth of experience to draw on.
Well, do we want to put ARPA into the budget?
Well, boy, that's a good question. Maybe there needs to be a page on ARPA?
What do you mean?
Or a paragraph in the trustees report?
There should be that.
I could write that. I'm just thinking, it seems like such a familiar acronym to me now that I don't even think twice about it. But whenever I use it in public, people always jump on it and say, what the heck's that? So,
Yeah, and anytime it's brought up in social media with us or any other area group, the people are always like, what's ARPA? What's that?
yeah.
What is
And what does it mean? Why is
Yeah.
it important? Yeah. I'll write you a paragraph. Carl, you're still doing the trustees report, or is that me?
The trustees report. I should have that by next meeting to look at.
Okay, so that would be March 21. So Amy will do a paragraph on ARPA.
So, but I still have a question as to whether or not we want that to be reflected in the budget.
So that might be a League of Cities and Towns question. Katie Buckley is answering all things ARPA, so I could ask that of her.
And Amy, can you remind me how much the town of Rockingham had gotten for ARPA, not Saxtons River?
More than us, but less than Bellows Falls. I don't remember the figures. It's by population, so the village of Bellows Falls got tons. And we,
like
with
that
500 people, got $148,000. And the rest of the town of Rockingham got an amount in between the two of us.
Okay.
Rick, you don't remember what it was, do you? No. It's easy to find. I can send you those figures. I think they're going to be very public when we have the hearings, which are coming up soon.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Carl, I do have one figure for you. Using the quotes the sheriff gave us, the policing looks like $8,640. So that's 12 payments, 12 hours a month, $60 per hour.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. I don't know if that now shows up on this.
It does.
Screen. Okay.
And
so
I will, go ahead.
That's actual.
Well, that's the figure they gave us, and they are contractually required to give us the figures ahead of time.
Okay, so do we want to budget for that exact amount, or do we want to round it up a bit?
I would budget for that exact amount. The 7,500 budgeted for last year is the exact amount of our contract.
Okay.
I still need to touch base with League of Cities and Towns to find out what our membership fee would be. They've sent out a memo about town memberships, but we are an associate member, so I'm not sure how to figure that bill. And I can also ask about our workman's comp for the fire department and the fast squad. I'm assuming that's reflected in these figures. Do you know? Do we typically separate it out and put it in with the fire department?
Fast Squad is training and consumable supplies.
Okay.
That's what that.
So our passive amount, which is significant, workers' comp, that perhaps goes under administration or under insurance?
Not under administration, I think probably under insurance.
And what about our League of Cities and Towns membership fee?
Don't know.
So maybe we need a cheat sheet somewhere. It looks like you're constructing one already that talks about what these figures.
Yep. I'm working on that. The best that I have for that are notes that appeared in the town meeting reports from last year, which I'm still working through that.
Okay.
I can't just copy it over because that's a PDF.
Yep. So you're talking about the actual town report?
The town report, yeah.
Okay, I'll go to that too.
Which
Good to
has
have
a-
both of us looking at it.
which has a discussion of what the different line items are. The big thing that I was concerned about before you started bringing up all these other things like insurance and League of Cities and Towns membership is the heat.
Mhm.
So heating fuel oil is going up rapidly. Last year we budgeted 6,500 for 1,700 gallons roughly is our normal consumption. So I touched base with actually Chris Coda, who referred my query to Casey Coda about where do you think that fuel oil is going up? And he says, we have no idea. But that it's gone up $2.20 in the last week, 2 weeks, which is almost doubling of what it was on our last fuel oil bill. So I figured a budget, if we spent 1,700 gallons and it about doubled to $4.50 a gallon for oil, it comes out to close to 12,000. How much do you think we need? I have no idea what the budget for that item.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we touch base privately with someone who's looking at projections moving forward. I'd be happy to check in with Peter Golick and Deb Wright, see what they did for their projections. I mean, they presumably did their projections before this these changes took effect, but I'm sure they're scrambling and reassessing at this point.
Yeah.
And remind me again, do we pre-buy?
We have
No.
a Coda and Coda contract,
Oh, okay.
and our habit has been to renew it annually, valuing the relationships that we have over the years with them.
Okay.
Now, we opted not to elect that fixed price. I think our contract is just that we pay. Don't we just pay what the usage is?
That's my understanding as well.
I think they come and fill it, and we just pay what the comes to, because I remember specifically that at a meeting not too long ago, we decided we would not opt to, I forget what they call it, but a fixed price for the oil.
So looking at this, Carl, so 6,500 is what we budgeted and the 3,520 is the actual for 21?
3,520 was the actual through March 14th of 21.
So Sarah will have these figures for us.
Sarah
So
will
we
have
can,
the end of year actuals, and she'll have the year to date actuals for the coming year.
So
Yeah, just to give you guys a little bit of history, I keep track of how much we pay for oil on each delivery, the gallon price. And in
this is for
November,
your business, for your home?
no, this is just for home. And it's not, this is just a general statement. In November, from November to January, it jumped 20 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
And from January to March, I got a delivery on the 1st, it jumped 60 cents a gallon.
Okay. That's consistent. I had the numbers I had from Casey.
Yeah, so from November to March, it was an increase of 80 cents a gallon.
Yeah, and since then, it's gone up 220 in the last 2 weeks, according to the information I had. But I've got such a lot in my email that I'm not going to be able to dig that up offhand. But that's where I figured that maybe the 450 a gallon might be where it ends up. But I don't know. I mean, I asked what I actually asked was, where can I go to find out what a reasonable projection would be. But I got an answer saying that they don't know. They're working on projected prices now, but I don't have a hard number.
Okay.
I think right now it is just going to be so hard to tell either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like we're all hanging on the morning news and waiting to see what it says.
If our actual for 2021 was through the 14th, and last year, and say another month or 6 weeks, so maybe another $500 for last year would bring us to 4. So I think 12 is really padding the budget, but somewhere in the 9 or 10 range might not be a horrible wild guess.
So Carl, do we have to have these figures pretty much squared away by next month, by the next meeting?
We need to have well, how soon do you need to have the motions ready to distribute in the handout for the annual meeting? So the budget will be a motion.
Is it usually printed in the town report? Is that where it will be made? Or is that something we supply?
It's
I can go and get last year's town report.
well, we will we will make a motion at the town meeting. I guess. But this projected budget goes into the handout for the town meeting. So if you look at last year's
Yep.
town meeting report, or do you want me to bring it up?
I can do it.
Okay.
Let's see. Can you stop sharing?
Yes.
So hold on, I've got it here. So you are seeing it now, I hope. So I know that in the warning, so-called, the articles, it says to borrow money, let's see, for general operating expenses, and if so, how much? So I'm assuming,
No, that where you need to go
yep,
to find what we need to put in is let's see, it's the proposed budget, page 17.
proposed budget.
Yeah. So this is what we published last year in the annual report.
Yep.
So whenever you need to have this is when we need to have it decided by.
Yeah, I've been thinking that if I had the figures by April 1st, it would be easy to get. I think typically they were printed a couple of weeks and then distributed. The link made, the PDF link widely distributed. We'll put it on the webpage. You'll put it on the webpage as you do so magnificently. We'll have a stack of them at the general store. And I haven't figured out how they're going to be printed. I have a feeling Louise did them personally, but I don't have a workhorse of a printer. So I think I'm going to be looking for a way to get them printed, and probably talking to Louise ahead of time about how many copies we actually need. But I've been thinking that my date might be, I don't know, April 5th, say. I don't know what our meeting is in
Okay,
April.
so our next meeting is when, the 21st?
Yep.
So we should decide then when's the first meeting in April?
It's on the 4th. So if my deadline is the 5th, we'd have one more meeting to pound it down. But I think we should focus on getting everything ready for the next meeting.
Okay.
Hopefully there would only be a couple of things that we needed a little more research.
Okay. Well, as soon as I find out from Sarah where the data are shared,
We'll be in a stronger position.
we'll be in a stronger position, yeah.
So this is the first time, Ellen and Rick, that you've seen the budget sheets. What would you like going forward for the next meeting?
In
The
terms
actuals
of-
filled in.
Yeah, of course. And maybe that cheat sheet that says what each one actually and compasses. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like the breakdown, please.
Okay.
So remember, we're a new board. We're allowed to
Yeah.
make some mistakes. We'll put
I
it
will,
all on Carl, the veteran, but
Well, this is
we're
the-
all taking new roles here. So
This is the first time I've had anything to do with the, with putting the budget worksheets there. I have a vague feeling that Ben Wallace might have done this, because he was the vice chair.
Should we get little, like signs to hold up every time a difficult question comes up that says, and just say blame Carl?
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. I'll make sure that we do that before the elections of trustees come up so that people can vote me out.
Or we can get signs made up that said blame Ben.
No, we
Leftist.
can't do that to Ben.
no, I don't think so.
He's not.
Poor treatment for long service.
Yeah.
Okay, so cheat
okay.
sheet and actuals and year to date.
Okay, so let's, if you can let me share again.
Yeah, you're still a co-host. I'm
Okay.
stopping sharing.
All right. Let me,
Oh, wow. Oh,
this is not. It's a general account. It's not what I want to show.
no, this is wastewater treatment account. Wastewater treatment plant, 2022 budget worksheet.
Okay, yeah, that's, but I'm not seeing that on my screen here.
Well, look for your Zoom because I'm seeing it on Zoom. You are viewing Carl Ball's screen. It says wastewater treatment plant at the top. And I'm a little disturbed that under budget, the first two items are Amy ? But I'm sure you'll tell me why that is.
Yeah, okay. So, I did get numbers from Rob,
Oh, great.
okay? And so, the projected, I don't have the actual year to date, but the 2022-23 budgeted items are based on what Rob said we would need more of or less of.
Okay.
Okay, so chemicals, we are not buying chemicals, but we'll need to start buying some more, and he suggested budgeting $3,000 for that. Electricity should probably be about the same. Heat, he suggested increasing by 50%, increasing the budget for propane to 1,500. Again, who knows what that's going to be. But that should not be affected as much as oil. Lappies and testing the same. Sludge removal, he had thought that we would be okay without changing, that's why that's in red, without changing the budgeted amount. But it was possible there would be an increase for transportation if their fuel costs go up.
Yeah.
But unless we're running real close to what the actual was, he was suggesting keeping that open, or keeping that the same.
Okay.
Now, he said that the big expense in plant maintenance are the UV bulbs and DO probes, and he suggested increasing the maintenance item, maintenance line by $1,000. However, I noticed that we had a separate line item for UV bulbs, so I don't know whether we want to increase both the bulbs and the maintenance by 1,000 or just one of those two items.
I don't know.
I got his email back well, I saw his email this evening, so.
I would think that the bulbs would fall as a line item under the maintenance.
Well, we have them budgeted separately.
We're paying for one LDO probe. I think it's just one in this warrant, and it's over $2,000.
Yeah, that I think comes out of the capital reserve.
Oh, I thought you mentioned DO probes as
Oh, I
maintenance.
did. Rob said that those were our big expenses.
Oh, okay, but it's not maintenance.
No, I don't think that we should be including that in the maintenance. I think that comes out of the reserve fund. But the bulbs are a separate item that we might want to budget.
I thought the capital reserve was to fund extraordinary expenses, in the case of, I don't know, major flood or extraordinary disaster, but perhaps I've misunderstood that.
Well, yeah, I suppose you're right. So I suppose that we would want to include that, the DO probe then, as in plant maintenance then. Because if a single probe costs us $2,000, then increasing the budget by $1,000 to cover maintenance and bulbs and probes is not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the discussion on page 22 of last year's report, and capital reserve is identified as money set aside for upgrades or repairs to the facility and the sewer lines.
Okay, so
So the difference is the probe, the DO probe, routine maintenance, or is it
well,
out
that's
of the
something
blue?
we routinely have to replace because they wear out. Yes, so that would be
okay.
that would be routine maintenance. Okay, so we'll want to allow for so we'll want to increase our budget by $2,000 to accommodate the probe. If we assume that a probe is going to be needed in the next year.
2880 is the figure for the one we're buying right now. That's from LCS Controls in Rochester. Almost $3,000, in other words.
Which may be a consumable that we do need to budget for, but I think, something like that and UV bulbs, I don't know why we would not just put them under plant maintenance instead of having UV bulbs as their own line item.
So that's probably an historical reason for that. Maybe
Yeah,
it looks to
probably.
me like we changed to using those. Let me look again at the town report. Yeah, I don't know. It says the intake is treated with UV rays rather than with chlorine. This is last year's town report. I don't know. I'm guessing it's an anomaly for 1 year, and you know how those things go. Sometimes
Well,
you do it
was a
once and
separate
it
item the year
gets
before as well. So I'm thinking that it's something that requires replacement so much that it wanted to be highlighted as instead of buried in the maintenance. I'll follow up with Rob on that
Okay.
and on the probe. So as to whether or not we need to budget a new probe every year, or it seems to me that we've replaced probes fairly frequently, but that previously we had covered that with the grant.
That's right. This is the first year we can't push expenses into the grant.
Well, but we should check with Sarah on what funds are still in that grant account, because when we closed it out, we asked for money to cover
Things like ordering chemicals.
things like ordering bulbs and probes, and I'm not sure
Yep.
what they were, but
So this is the USDA loan funds.
USDA loan fund, yeah. So
Okay.
that may be where that should come from. The probe, I mean.
I can make an annotation when I give her the warrant. Put an asterisk and
Okay.
see if that's available. We're finally, I think in the last warrant, we were also billed for work done at the treatment plant, that pipe insulation project. And that might also have been identified in the closeout projects.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. What else do we need to do with these tonight?
So the items that say Amy, the administration and BF management.
Yep.
So I think that probably administration doesn't need to, because that just is that's a part of the expenses of the treasurer and the tax collector stipends. Those get split between the village and the
Yeah, that's true for the general fund. I'm looking at the wastewater treatment description of accounts, and it's payment to the village of Bellows Falls to operate the sewer plant. So I think that's that monthly bill for our plant operator's salary.
Now that's the Bellows Falls management. That's line 2. I think that's where that salary comes in.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you mean.
So there's Bellows Falls Management and Administration, and I think that the administration is just the cost of mailing out the sewer bills.
Payment to the village tax collector and treasurer for collection of sewer fees, bills, bookkeeping. Okay,
Yeah.
so I should double check on those.
So, yeah, so we need to know, I don't think that will change for the next year's budget. I think that we should be okay. But definitely the Bellows Falls Management, because I don't know how much we get charged for Rob and whoever else comes in under the Bellows Falls.
Okay, so I'll check with the village on that.
Okay. So it's more complicated than I thought it was when I said I would do it. But I should be able to have with the actual numbers and update this for next time. And I saw your chats, Rick and Ellen, that you didn't get an email, and I'll have to go back and see if that's something that just didn't get sent.
Yeah, it could be just in the draft folder or something.
That's where mine sit.
Yeah.
To clean it up
Me
every now and
too.
then. I'm sure I clicked on that little arrow sign.
Yeah, I know I emailed that. Then I
And
look
I
back,
have-
God
And I
darn
have
it.
had too some problem with messages not with VTel's server not picking up all the messages and having to send them twice. So I'll check, but I'll send you the new one when I get it updated.
Okay.
Sometimes with VTEL, you have to be patient because it takes their servers a while to transmit things.
Yeah.
It can be a
Yeah, I've
little
noticed
annoying.
that. So I have some comments from Art Smith. He is waiting for the year-to-date figures before he submits to us. He knows there's going to be one big increase. He uses reporting software. ESO is the acronym of the software. And it's jumping from $400 to $2,000 per annum. So that's a critical expense for him. This is what gets our data into the national database, so that when we ask for help paying for turnout gear, they have a record of the fires we fought and the expenses associated with them. So there's just no way around that. That's one of those things. These are decisions made at the mutual aid level that have an impact on all of the small firefighting companies that are covered by them. So just to prepare you, he'll get those figures to us when Sarah gets her figures to him.
Okay. So is he already communicating with Sarah, or is
Yes.
he waiting for me to send them?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think I have what I need to keep working on this, and hopefully we'll be able to just finish this in 2 weeks. I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay.
So I'm tired of exposing my screen.
All right. So you are allowed to duck the next question, but I think I was asked to put it on the agenda at the last meeting, the Hartley Hill and Pleasant Valley intersections.
No, I can tell you a little bit. So I have reached out to Andy, who's the point person for the town and looking at this. Have not heard back from him yet, and expect maybe not to for a couple days until they finish taking care of all the roads that are washing out with all this rain.
And then there's mud season.
And there's mud season, yeah. If I don't hear from him in another day or two, I'll email him again and see what's up. I think that it might not be a bad idea for us to decide what we want and make a suggestion to him.
I'd just like to make sure that we're up on the work that's already been done. So I think I sent you, Carl, the information on the 2003, 2004 planning survey of the Hartley Hill area, noting the signs and the speeds and so forth.
Yeah. And I need to talk to him about that.
Okay.
Can someone refresh me on what this topic?
So this came out of a discussion. I was walking around Saxtons River thinking, everybody in town is obviously driving too fast. Every single person I talk to says the people on my street drive too fast. But this came out of Matt Brennan's working on Westminster Street and observing that people charge through that intersection, making the turn from Westminster Street onto the foot of Hartley Hill. And Carl added that he has thought for some time, correct me, Carl, if I'm speaking for you, that people come down and kind of blow through that stop sign. So,
Matt's observation was people going south
and people going north.
So people going south, instead of taking the corner, just kind of charging, going straight through to,
Yes.
Okay.
So we've done two things. We've contacted Chuck Wise, planning for Rockingham, who sent files on a planning study that was done some time ago, looking at the signage, looking at the intersection, using road rules to talk about what was happening there. So that's information I passed on to Carl. And secondly, where was I going with this? Secondly, the Sheriff's Department, it turns out, has new
we talked about that last time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we have some evidence that although you certainly notice it when somebody speeds across, that doesn't seem to be what's happening routinely.
Well, so the Sheriff's Department had the radar set up there and counted cars, and they didn't see a lot of excessive speeding. I think they saw three cars going fast enough that it would have been ticketable, but they were looking at a speed limit of 35 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour. And the speed limit on Westminster Street's only 25. So I think we need to.
Where were their cables? Were they counting on Westminster Street?
Well, they had their radar set up on Hartley Hill Road, just past the village limit. So where the pavement ends on Hartley Hill Road.
Yep.
They had their radar set up on the next telephone pole south from there, which is right by the entrance into the field across the road from my place, the old Wright pasture. And they counted cars. They counted the number of which were going above 50, and a separate table, the number going above 35. And me see if I can. And they found three ticketable speeds. Three people going fast enough, they could have written a ticket. Excuse me, I gotta move around for a second, so I'm gonna hide my picture. But they were looking at that based on a speed limit of 35 miles an hour, which is not what the speed limit is there. Speed limit on Westminster Street is 25. Now, the report doesn't break down whether they were looking at cars that were on Hartley Hill Road or whether they were looking at cars that were on Westminster Street.
So you think they were looking at both? I thought from what you just said, they were only looking at Hartley Hill.
Well, the radar was on Hartley Hill Road, but I think it shoots on down. I mean, I think they see cars coming on Westminster Street.
I pictured this as a cable that just registers.
No, this is a radar.
Huh, okay.
This is a radar setup. Little box sitting on the telephone pole was not cables across the road.
Okay.
No, it was a radar, and it was counting speeds, not just numbers of cars.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that there probably still is a speed issue, even though the data don't show it, just because their data were looking at the wrong speed limit. And I'm not sure how much we can go back and isolate the number that we're going over 25. But that's not really relevant to the sign issue. That's relevant more to the problem of speed on Westminster Street.
Right.
According to the sign issue, according to the sheriff, there's not a problem with speeding on Hartley Hill Road, which is probably true because the speed limit there is 35. But they were only looking from very near the stop sign to the stop sign. They weren't looking at the traffic coming down the hill, say a quarter mile further up where people may be going 50 miles an hour on that road. I think they're going about 100 when they zip past me when I'm walking, but that may be my bias. Now,
So where does the road turn to Westminster?
Okay.
Is it quite a ways up?
Yeah, it's a ways up there. If you drive up the road on the left-hand side, you'll see the woods give way to a field, to an open area. That's the town line.
So for example, if you're all the way up to Kimball Hill Road, that's Westminster. That's Westminster.
You know where the turnaround, what they call the turnaround is?
Yes.
That's Westminster. The town line is just this side of there.
Okay.
So
I've probably seen it, but I just couldn't think.
The big red farmhouse on the east side of the road, there's a field associated with that farmhouse where that field turns to woods. So it's woods on the left-hand side of the road as you're walking south. And then the woods gives way to a field where the new sugar house is.
Yep.
So that field, the boundary between that field and the woods is the boundary between Westminster and Rockingham.
Okay.
So that's where Jim Kelly's land ends and my land behind him ends at the end of that woods, and that's the town line.
Okay.
So that's maybe a quarter of a mile up the road from the corner. Maybe a little more than that. Less than half a mile. I think. So it's not very far in Rockingham. Of course, it's still Wyndham County.
So I was just curious about where our speeding concerns stop and Westminster's start. But you've assured me that there's a quarter of a mile that there is a speed issue for us. But I think that the concern raised by Matt Brennan was people turning across that intersection.
And the sheriff did not see that as a routine occurrence. I don't know. It seems to me that it happens quite a bit. I saw an incidence of that this afternoon while I was walking the dogs back around the corner of my barn. A car comes zipping across in front of a car coming up the Westminster West Road. But there could have been a collision. I think
that comment gets made often. It's a miracle there aren't more collisions there.
It's a blind corner if you're going south onto Hartley Hill Road. And if you don't slow down and look, you're not going to see somebody coming up on your right until they're almost on you. And cars do come up that hill, up the Westminster West Road awfully fast too.
So where are we, Carl, in terms of steps to be taken?
Well, I think we need to, I think I need to follow up with
Andy Howarth?
With Andy Howarth, yeah, and see where he is and talk with him about the past data and see what they intend to do. And
okay.
And I think it's pending being able to get together with Andy, and I don't know how long that's going to take, given his. I'm sure this is not a high priority on his list of things to do.
So, given our focus on budget worksheets, I'm going to suggest that we save this for April meetings.
Sure.
Is that all right with people? Carl, you're the one. You're doing a lot on the budget worksheets. I'm just thinking this would be better if we deal with a little further along.
Yeah, I don't think we need to put it on the agenda. If I manage to get a hold of Andy, I'll talk to him when I can, but I won't push it until the budget's done.
Okay. Okay. Anything else before we move on from those two intersections? We haven't talked about your lovely intersection, Ellen.
Yeah.
That one also has a number of signs associated with it. And I think Chuck was going to give us some stuff on that as well, but I may be remembering that incorrectly. Well, just to see what the signs are and what the recommendations are.
He made the comment that if we got rid of some of the other signage, it would be clearer. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that really answers Ellen's concern.
No, it doesn't.
The concern is not that a sign is obscured. The concern is that there's no sign indicating that the road.
Splits. It's every day somebody's turning around my driveway.
Now, I did notice that if you're coming back from Bellows Falls, just before the bridge over Saxtons River, not our bridge, but further east, where the goat farm, goat cheese people are.
Yep. Okay,
so there's a sign there. It's a big. It says Route 121 with a left arrow. Mm-hmm. At that intersection, and that's really what Ellen is looking for, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if it's an issue with obscuring the vision when you come down Pleasant Valley Road, and you need to figure out whether anybody is coming up on your right-hand side along 121.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly a problem. I can go down Quarry Hill Road rather than come through that corner, if I can, just because I don't like.
Yeah, because I have called the town before to ask them to trim down the brush in the summertime when you're coming down Pleasant Valley Road and you're looking back right onto 121. And they've been great. They've been super responsive because, like the knotweeds or whatever, they're just 6 feet tall.
Yep.
But they've been fantastic about calling. I mean, I call or I email and they're there that day. So I really appreciate that.
So that's certainly a concern. But I think if you had that sign on the east side of the intersection rather than the west, it wouldn't be obscuring the view.
Yeah.
So that might be a Chuck question, just in terms of highway regulations. I don't know that that's a highway, but it's some kind of road, and I'm sure there are some kind of regulations about what you can and can't do. But that's a good point that there's a similar situation closer to the village, and they've dealt with it with a nice big 121 sign.
Yeah, and there is a 121 sign. It's just that it's the way the road flows. People just automatically think they're going to go up right for some reason onto 121, but they're coming up to Pleasant Valley Road. I think it's just a matter of adding an arrow. That's it.
And that may be something
because it's
that the state has.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's a state highway.
Oh, perhaps.
That might not be a town issue at all.
Yeah, let's start with Carl, and let's wait until April to finish this discussion. We've still got a lot of meat to cover tonight, guys. I'm sorry to be getting a little antsy, but
yeah, that's a.
Are we ready to move on?
Oh, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be as antsy as you need to be to keep things moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we can do it. We can do a 5-minute time limit on each topic. How's that?
I hope you're right. Okay.
That's a little extensive. I was thinking 2.
Oh, God. Well, you call it then. Revolving loan foundation proposal. So there are 2 issues here: the name of the water system and the an update in general on the where we are with the whole proposal. So the name of the water system, Carl has been asked to sign the drinking water revolving loan application as the clerk. And he pointed out that I had changed the name back to Vermont Academy, and why don't I share that document just so you can see it. Vermont Academy and
Warner Center.
And Warner Center. Thank you, Carl. Oops, I don't have it. Here it is. Here it is. So this is an official state revolving loan program funding application. And this is, we are the loan applicant, the Village of Saxtons River. And here's the point that Pat Smart is concerned about. Vermont Academy has a WSID number, VT0005303. And under that number are filed different environmental conservation reports over the years with problems at Vermont Academy. And I believe also some problems with Warner Center. We had proposed in a meeting renaming the system name something that referred to the Village of Saxtons River and a community water system. Patrick Smart advises us that we should not do that. But in fairness, I need to come back to you folks and ask your permission to return it to Vermont Academy and Warner Center. So that's what I'm doing.
I like the Vermont Academy, Warner Center, and other, or multiple, or whatever that option was.
Was it community?
So the problem with that for Patrick's firm is that it is not a current identifiable system. And he wants a system that is linked to problem reports at the Department of Environmental Conservation.
For some reason, I need to find your email, but I thought that he had said that it could say multiple.
I think
Or
it's
not.
later that it says multiple, but I'm happy to go back and look for that email.
Well, he did, yeah, I agree with Rick that he offered multiple or not applicable as two options rather
Hold
than
on.
rather than naming a new system.
Let's get it. Okay, I'm going to share a different document. I encourage the village to either keep the Vermont Academy and Warner Center water system on page 1 of the application or enter.
Not applicable or multiple, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly wedded to either way.
Well, I'm a little concerned that we are going for Leahy funding on this, and the interest is in the Vermont Academy, the Vermont Academy problems that have been documented over the years. And I'm
So
kind of
are
a
you,
goody-goody. I want to do what Patrick tells me. I'm not as wild and free as you guys.
Well, bear in mind that Patrick is not our engineer. I mean, we didn't hire MSK. They didn't get their marching orders really from us, but this went through the town. So I just want to make sure that we're not doing anything that jeopardizes us.
And that's why I like multiple, because it encompasses the Warner Center, the Vermont Academy, and anything that we may do for the village itself.
I think that if we say Vermont Academy and Warner Center, we face questions from the people we represent as to, well, why are we just focusing on these two private entities? And we really want to look at the village interest as well. I still think that the multiple is a good option, and you could put that. I think, Amy, if you were to go back to the application and enter multiple,
Yep.
could you still enter that identifying number?
Yes, I think I can.
Well,
Because it wants a number.
So if you give them those, if you give them that number, that allows access to those files, which is what that VTS, WSID number.
Yep.
If you can keep that number and put multiple, that still allows to link to those files that are important to Patrick.
Okay, it's done. Is everybody on board with that solution?
Yep.
Okay.
So I have a question for you, Amy, about,
Yep.
now I need to sign this.
I think you and I need to print the last page, sign it, and attach it.
Okay, we can't put in a scanned signature or something like that?
I haven't been able to. If you're able to, by all means, teach me how.
I'm going to trust your experience here.
Yeah. I mean, I tried to. because typically you can with a PDF, but
Yeah.
there's something about this one that I wasn't able to.
Okay. Well, then, I can just, we can print it and sign it then, I guess.
I'll make a date with you. I'll come up, or you can tell me, you sign it, and I'll come up and grab yours and sign mine, and we should be all set.
So, okay, I'll let you decide the logistics.
Okay. So a little update. I think I may have told you this already, but I just want to reiterate it in public. In order for Senator Leahy's office to be able to officially review this project, it needs to show up on a priority list. There was a very short turnaround time. I think I heard from MSK engineers on the 25th that the project needed to be submitted, the one-page submission, by March 1st. So, and I could sign, so I signed it. It does not, that signature, that priority list does not force us to do anything. It puts us in line for priority funding, but I did not, what is the word that I want? It does not authorize expenditure by Saxtons River. So I want to assure you of that.
I have full confidence.
Good, good. The priority list application was based on Department of Environmental Conservation reports dating back to 2001 and 1974. There was a price tag on this priority list, and it's based, interestingly, on construction of an enormous water storage tank and a transmission line that runs in the area of Rockingham Hill Road to the Vermont Academy campus and Main Street. So again, this is before any preliminary investigation has been done, but it's based on reports that were filed since 2001. So that's how it's done, I guess. Big surprises for me. Are we ready to move on to the next item on the agenda? Are there questions? Okay.
Yeah.
ARPA update. This can be very brief and informational. The committee is getting together to review the projects. I don't know if you saw Gary Fox with his papers collecting last minute projects on March 1st when people went to vote. The first meeting for the public to see all of the projects will be March 16th at 5 p.m. I assume that will be a Zoom meeting and either a lower theater or a movie theater meeting. I don't have any information for you on that. I don't know how many proposals were submitted in all. I made a point of sending the message along with examples to anybody in Saxtons River I thought might be interested. The people who were on the board of the childcare. We had talked about whether Sarah might be interested. I had heard from somebody about a plan for a business along Main Street. Anybody like that, I sent the information. So we'll see where we are. Questions on ARPA? Okay.
No.
Annual meeting format and date. So I apologize for being dense. It turns out we absolutely cannot vote electronically. There is no way. The Vermont legislature has not made it possible for us to hold an annual meeting, not a municipal regular meeting, but an annual meeting electronically. They have only two options available. One is to hold all questions by Australian ballot. So we would have to come up with the figures, print the ballots, distribute them, and a month later, vote on them. That's the Australian ballot solution. We could have an informational meeting. We should have an informational meeting prior to that vote, so everybody is aware of how those figures were arrived at and what the questions are. But we would not be able to raise or lower amounts or elect trustees or moderator or treasurer from the floor, which has been our practice. We do have a meeting date at this point, April 25th, and we have a place, Main Street Arts, which has quite a large theater upstairs. So my question for you is, how would you like to proceed, knowing that our plan so far, which allowed remote, is not legal?
Wow, that's,
Hmm.
So it's the 25th of April. Could be a warm
Right.
day. It's a big space if we end up on the theater of the second floor. The League of Cities and Towns talks about liability issues. If somebody gets COVID and claims that the town didn't take proper precautions, then that's a liability issue for us.
um, I don't know what to say because I don't know if you all have more experience with it. These options. If there's any preference by any of you?
I do, but I'm supposed to be encouraging you to talk out your feelings and not just lay it on you.
I have zero issue with going
I-
live at Main Street Arts in the Upper Theater.
Yeah.
That's kind of my feeling as well.
I don't think.
Yeah, because that seems,
I don't think it's practical to do the Australian ballot.
yeah, it seems a lot more work.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more expense for us. We would have to have somebody there monitoring the collection or the voting. When the ballots are cast, we have a voting day and people monitoring the poll, and we'd have to have everything put out. And God forbid we have an issue like the town did, where something is wrong on the ballot and write in the warning.
Yep.
So
Can we do it? What is the feasibility of like a little bit earlier of a meeting? Because as it gets later in the day, it gets cooler, of course. So if we could do a little bit earlier while the sun was still out and it was warm, could we open the windows and then maybe even fire up the heat pumps there to keep it warm but keep air flowing through if we're really overly concerned. But I think that we're okay these days.
Well, and it's April 25th. I mean,
we're on
it's,
daylight saving time by then, so
yeah. And none of us know, will there be a new Omicron at that point? A new, some kind of crazy variant that comes out of nowhere. We don't have any way of knowing. Right now, I notice more people are going to the movies. They're wearing a mask, but they're going to concerts. It seems like, and the state is retiring the mask mandate March 14th. So it seems like we're on a good trajectory, but we need to make a decision ahead of time. Carl, you still have a hand raised. I'm sorry, I didn't recognize
I'm sorry,
that.
no, I just haven't lowered it.
Okay. Do you want a formal motion or are we at consensus? I'm not hearing anybody
I'm at
say, gee,
consensus.
that Australian ballot sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, I'll move that we hold a floor meeting in person on the date that we had already
April 25th.
planned for the hybrid meeting.
Yep. Do you want to follow up on Rick's suggestion that we make it earlier?
Well, I would move that we keep the same date and time.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
But I'm happy to have Rick amend it if he wants to change the time.
I'm not that dedicated to it.
Is there a second?
I think that early meetings are hard for people to get to.
I think it's always easier to do things that you're used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second it.
I think
Okay.
7 o'clock's a good time.
It's been moved and seconded to hold the annual meeting on April 25th as a classic town meeting in person at Main Street Arts at 7 p.m. All those in favor, show of hands? Unanimous, great, thank you.
Okay, so I will rework the warning again.
Thank you.
And
I haven't publicized it because once I heard this wasn't legitimate, I got to it. I will tell you all that Peter Golick was the first to say to me, I don't think you can do that. And then, of course, I was at the Rockingham informational meeting and got the news, no, people who are not here cannot vote. And then by then I'd heard back from the League of Cities and Towns, no legislative authority. So, okay, committee reports and updates. Anything on the fire station?
Nope.
Anything on the wastewater treatment plant?
The work's been done on the insulation, the pipe installation for sound. I have not heard anything about how it's working.
Rob thinks it's working, but he doesn't want to jinx it by saying anything. Okay, and the planning grant for 37 Main Street. I have retrieved the deeds and it looks like we're going to be using Kath Martin. I don't have a bid from her yet. The bid for consultants went out and nobody responded. So I think Gary Fox has been a little busy with the train station at the moment. You saw, I think, that grant went in the minute the vote was taken. But he planned to call people before he put the RFP out again, just to find out why everybody was so busy. You know, is this a temporary thing, or was it something about what the requirements were? He didn't want to put it out again and get the same no response. So there will be more reports, I assure you, but we're making progress slowly on the 37 Main Street grant. Questions? All right, we're up to the minutes for approval from February 7th and February 21st. How about a motion on February 7th?
So made.
Is there a second to the motion to approve the minutes of February 7th?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes in February 7th. Are there any further questions? All in favor, show by hands. Unanimous? Good. All right, we're ready to consider the minutes of February 21st, a remarkably brief meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes of February 21st. Are there any questions? All in favor signify with a show of hands. It's unanimous. Great. Warrants and bills for approval. Here we go. I'm sorry to say, it's significant. I think I'm sorry because Sarah said to me, you know, it's getting near the end of the year. Can we calm it down? But no, we can't. So we have a big ticket item here that is very routine. This is our operator salary, $5,316. But we also,
Amy?
oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had shared it, but no, I just did it on my own screen. Thank you, Carl. How about that? Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So the sum at the bottom is $19,526.06. The big ticket items are the contract monthly fee for our operator salary, the bill for our mutual aid assessment, no way around that, and the LDO probe, no way around that. So there is your amount, $19,526.06. Do I have a motion to approve this warrant?
I move we approve the warrant in the amount of $19,526.06.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the warrant in the amount of, oh, I just lost it. I'll go back and get it for you. $19,526.06. All in favor? Show of hands? Excellent. Okay, passes unanimously.
Amy,
Yes.
can I ask you to email me a copy of that so that I remember to trace down those wastewater treatment plant and see if they're on the grant list?
You want a copy of the warrant emailed
Send
to
me
you?
Yeah, just email
Sure.
me the warrant.
Yep, I'm happy to do that. Okay. We are up to other business, and I will confess, after some thought, I reached out to Peter Golick and Deb Wright to ask whether it would be appropriate to talk about a declaration of inclusion. And Deb wrote back that she is on an inclusion committee at the League of Cities and Towns, and she thought it would be a good idea. Peter had not heard of the Declaration of Inclusion, but he looked into it and thought it would be okay. So it is sort of a statement of welcome, meant to, depending on the wording that we might draft. Some of them mention age, poverty, race, sexual orientation. I mean, it sort of depends on what you put into it. But in my mind, it connects to comments that Rick Cohen made about creating a welcoming feeling from Rockingham for people interested in moving in. And he cited some of the work that Rutland has been doing. So it seemed to me this might be a good follow-up to that discussion. And I'm just warning you that I've sent that in as a suggestion for our meeting on March 31st. Other business? Items for the next meeting, March 21st, budget worksheets. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, are we in the period when the warrant will be appearing, the official thing that we need to have signed, Carl?
Oh, the warning?
The warning?
30, no, we're not there yet. The 25th would be 30 days. The 15th would be 40. So we need to be somewhere between 30 and 40 days before April 25th is when we have to warn it.
So March 15th, is that what you said?
March, is that 30 days? March 16th it would be. So how many days are there in March? 31? March 16th would be the earliest that we could.
So we will not have another meeting to look at that, but I don't think there were any issues with it. We looked at this at the last meeting, correct?
Not if nobody has any issues with it, no. We just want to make sure that we haven't left anything out that we want to discuss, that we haven't omitted any offices that we want to vote for, or.
Should we look at it once more?
I think everything's okay, but we can, yeah.
It's not on the agenda, of course, but do you want to share it? It completely recapitulates the one for 2021. Am I correct?
Yeah.
It looked fine to me. I don't want to make trouble for anyone. I just want to make sure we're ready to go forward on the 16th.
No, I don't think we need to. I don't.
Okay.
Think we need to look at
Great.
it again.
All right. Is there any need for an executive session? Then I think we're at that magic moment. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will. So because a few people have asked, since I did not get elected to the school board, if nominated and elected, I am willing to serve here again for another year.
Yay!
Yay!
No, if nominated and elected, so the poses, and I'm not doing either thing for myself, so.
So typically, you may or may not have realized this, Ellen and Rick, but typically Louise would write out a script for who would nominate people. And, you know, I move the clerk cast one ballot for the,
Yeah, that's how we did on the school board too, is we usually write out a script of like what motion each person's gonna present, and et cetera, so.
Yeah.
When is Matt's term up this time, or is he?
No. I don't,
No, I think his is not. I actually have this.
Has anyone heard from him?
He didn't get in touch, but we do have a trustee in reserve if he decided to.
Well, the trustee in reserve might get elected over me or Ellen, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah,
You
true.
never know. Let's see. I can show you this. I think. Do I still have it open? No, but I could open it pretty easily. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to bother. I am elected till 2023. Matt is elected till 2023. Carl, are you up now?
I am up.
So the other three positions are open.
And remember that we decided that Ellen's position should be a 2-year, not a 1-year.
Correct.
Just
And
so that we're following the intent of the bylaws. I don't know when we got off that.
doesn't matter.
There should be 2-year terms every year.
Yep. So then Ellen and Carl will both run for 2-year terms, and then there'll be an open seat, which Rick, you could run for, or we could have a highly contested election and you and Jeff McClarty could both run for it.
I would like to go for the 1-year seat.
You would, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
I
mean,
think that's fine.
I have also, a lot of people, since I did not get the school board seat, a lot of people have approached me and said, we'd really like you to stay on the trustees need me too. So
I
they were
think that's
glad that I
great.
didn't get there. But on the other hand, I have had more people, but they're outside of the village people, approach me and say, please run for the school board next year. So
Yeah. So it also
except
occurred
my
to me
son
that-
said, please do not be on the school board again.
That's a classic. He's just lucky you don't teach at the same school that he attends. That's the worst I hear. It also occurs to me though, that if there is a vacancy on the school board, they may come to you and ask you, can they appoint you? In
Yes.
which case you can always ditch us. You know,
Yes.
we can appoint mid-year. So
Yes.
that's plausible as well. Okay, so that was some little last minute shenanigans. Are we ready? Are there any other items that we wanted to discuss? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor? Thanks, guys.
Thanks again.